Hello, I'm David Rose. Here's a look at some of the top cases we're working on with Crime Stoppers for Washington's Most Wanted, starting with the hunt for an armed and very dangerous suspect with big-time small man syndrome. Take a look at this tiny terror that police are trying to identify. The hunt is on in Seattle, Dupont, Auburn, Tacoma, Lacey, and Olympia to find this guy, who appears to be only around 5 feet 6 inches tall. But he has committed at least 10 different armed robberies since late last month, always holding the pistol in his left hand and wearing that gray NYC brand sweatshirt. He's usually wearing a blue mask, but we got a good shot of his eyes in one of the robberies. So take a close look, see if you recognize him, his clothes, or anything about him. One thing to point out in the video you're about to see is that he walks kind of bow-legged or pigeon-toed. This guy needs to be stopped because he is leaving his victims terrified. It was just after midnight on Monday, March 3rd, when you see the suspect come into Heavenly Donuts in Lacey and quickly jump the counter. There's one employee in front, another in the back. He orders her at gunpoint to come out, which she does with her hands up, just hoping he won't shoot. That's when the suspect scoots back over the counter, pulls a white bag out of his sweatshirt, and demands the cash. As the one employee starts filling up the bag with the money, you see how scared his coworker is, her hands to her face. The suspect finally takes off running when the register is empty. 3 days later, surveillance video at the Lux Spa in Lacey shows the same suspect pointing that gun right at a woman's face during another takeover robbery. Just two of the numerous crimes this same suspect is wanted for.
I am Lacey Police Detective John Mason on behalf of Crime Stoppers of the South Sound.
There is a cash reward of up to $1,000 right now for any information that can help identify or locate this suspect. The urgent search for him is this week's featured Crime Stoppers case on Mixed 96.1 Radio.
He is described as 5'5" to 5'8" tall, male with a thin build. The subject is also a suspect in multiple robberies in other jurisdictions.
That includes Seattle, where detectives say these photos show him running after he robbed a woman at gunpoint in a parking garage at a long-term care facility on Seward Park Avenue South. Police describe him as black and in his late teens to early 20s.
We should be very concerned about him. He's armed and dangerous, as you can see from the videos. He's going in, waving that gun at people. We don't want him to injure anybody.
He seems to be escalating. These photos from Dupont police show him during a robbery on March 8th at Pizza Hut. I talked to an employee by phone who told me he jumped the counter and put a gun right to her coworker's chest. She saw what was happening and took off running for help, but he chased her out the door. She was able to get to a nearby gas station safely, but is still living in fear over what happened.
He is very brazen in what he's doing. He's jumping over counters, he's very aggressive, and he's a danger to the public.
Lacey police did get one good clue. Watch the suspect when he's behind the counter. He looks like he's kind of bow-legged.
He has a very odd stance, so when he's standing there, his legs are very separated. He's very short in stature. He's about 5'5" to 5'8", somewhere in there, very slender build. And possibly athletic too. He's able to jump these counters like it's nothing.
In many of the robberies, the suspect hasn't gotten away with very much money, so police expect him to continue his crime spree. They're warning employees who work at night to be on alert. Call 911 if you spot him, or submit an anonymous tip if you know his name.
If you have any information about these robberies, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477. You can also download the P3 app to submit your tip from any smartphone. Crime Stoppers will pay up to $1,000. And remember, you never have to leave your name.
Tonight, Seattle police need your help to find this suspect, accused of threatening to kill a security officer while high on meth, threatening to put bombs under the bed of another officer, saying he would shoot the officers in the head, rape their wives and daughters, and give them HIV. Detectives say Dante Davis has been on the run from law enforcement since last year. This surveillance video shows the incident that led to the threats and the charges. Police say a security officer at Swedish Hospital called for backup when Davis walked past his station in the front lobby. When the officers asked Davis to leave the building if he wasn't there to get assistance, he refused. As they approached him to escort him out, Davis started fighting.
He gets in a fight with all three of the security officers. He pops one in the face 2 or 3 times. They can't control him. He breaks loose, and he actually jumps over a barrier and thinks he's going to land on the ground, but it's actually 20 feet down. He falls, but he's able to get up, and believe it or not, the race continues until SPD arrives on the scene and physically arrests him. Arraignment was set. He never showed. So they have a little over a $50,000 felony warrant. As far as we know, he hasn't left the area, so he's still around. For us, this guy is dangerous, and he's got to be off the streets.
Dante Davis is 38 years old, 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighs 150 pounds. He was last known to live in Auburn. If you have any information on his location, you can leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound at p3tips.com or through the P3 Tips app that you should download to your cell phone. It's free. There's a cash reward of up to $1,000 for any information that leads to his arrest. Now a pair of bumbling burglars. King County Sheriff's detectives need your help to identify them. Look at this buffoon. He should be walking with a limp after having a huge safe fall on his legs. You see, he and his buddy, they're not geniuses. They were trying to boost that safe from a Cricket wireless store in White Center. They wanted to load it into a minivan late last month.
The video footage that we captured is the suspects attempting to bring this large safe outside. And as you can see from the video, the safe actually falls on the guy that's going backwards onto his legs. So I can only imagine that was very painful. And his friend that was in the front put his end down and came over to help lift the other side off of his friend. I think they finally got to the point realizing this safe was way too heavy, that there was no way they were going to be able to load it into the van, especially now that one of the guys, I can only imagine his legs are hurt. So they left empty-handed. They didn't end up taking anything at all.
Well, the suspect who had the safe fall on his legs was wearing a baseball hat. Looks like he's got a mustache. The other guy wore a surgical mask to cover his face. If you know their names or anything to help get them identified, you're going to get a cash reward of up to $1,000 when they get arrested. It's anonymous. Submit that tip to Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound through the P3 Tips app or call the hotline. Tonight, Tacoma police need your help to catch a killer who gunned down a father of 3 in the middle of the day outside a Jack in the Box along Tacoma Mall Boulevard. Here is the suspect they're trying to find. Detectives say he has dreads or braids tied up with the sides and back of his head shaved. He also likely has a black eye and injuries to his teeth or mouth. Now, the victim in this case is 48-year-old Tony Haggard, who you see there with his daughter Kendra. The medical examiner says Tony died of a single gunshot wound just before noon on Saturday, February 29th.
Detectives have learned the suspect walked to the Jack in the Box from the area of South 52nd and Asotin Street. When he arrived at the Jack in the Box, he contacted the victim. There was an argument and he shot the victim. He then took the victim's car and drove off.
Officers located that stolen truck nearby, and they have been working that area looking for the suspect. The victim's daughter has been trying to raise enough money to bury her dad, and she doesn't understand why he was killed.
I just want people to know that my dad was a kind, loving person, and he tried to help anybody out that he could. It's just unbelievable to realize that I'm not going to have a dad to call when I need him, or just a dad to hug whenever I need. I just can't believe it. I come from a low-income family, and we can't afford a funeral like he deserves, you know? So I still have to come up with $1,000, I believe.
This is the fundraising page that Kendra set up, and we've put a link to it in this story on our website, catchwmw.com. Now, let me show you the suspect again. Tacoma police say he's black, approximately 25 to 35 years old, about 5'10" or 5'11", with a medium build and medium complexion. He's got dreads or braids tied up, and the sides and back of his head are shaved. He's got a thin mustache or thin facial hair. He was seen wearing a black puffy coat, black hooded sweatshirt, white beanie cap, light blue jeans, and black and white sneakers. He likely has a black eye with injuries to his teeth and or his mouth. If you know this guy's name, you can stay anonymous and get that cash reward of up to $1,000. Submit the tip right now to Crime Stoppers. You can call 1-800-222-TIPS or use the P3 Tips app that you can download to your cell phone for free. Well, a fun mother-daughter shopping trip ruined by this suspected thief, who detectives need your help to find. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force says they've identified Audrey Mills from this surveillance photo. Now, the image is from video at a Walmart in Renton, where officers say she's seen using a victim's stolen credit cards just an hour after they were taken. The victim says she and her 16-year-old daughter were shopping at the Nordstrom Rack in Auburn on February 28th. when her purse was stolen from the dressing room.
It's a very small stall, and trying on and hanging up all the clothes on the hangers, I remember putting my purse just right on the floor by my feet. And when I was ready to leave, I looked down and my purse was gone, and I thought I was losing my mind a little bit.
Well, to make matters even worse, the thief then used the keys in Dara's purse to go outside in the parking lot and steal her truck. It's a 2015 Chevy Silverado that has still not been found.
I really feel violated, just that you can't try things on in a private dressing room anymore without having to think about everything about, is my purse going to get taken?
Well, the check of Audrey Mills' criminal history shows she has a car theft conviction, and she's on supervision with the Department of Corrections in Pierce County for possession of a controlled substance. She did not show up to meet with her supervising officer, so DOC has issued a warrant for her arrest. Audrey is 31 years old. She's 5'6". She weighs 160 pounds. She has brown hair, and obviously she dyes it red sometimes. She has green eyes. Crime Stoppers of Puget Sound is offering a cash reward of up to $1,000 for any information that leads to her arrest. If you spot her, call 911 and then submit that tip immediately to Crime Stoppers. Or if you know where she's staying, maybe at a motel or a family member's, give the address to the hotline. It's anonymous through the P3 Tips app, or call 1-800-222-TIPS. Get that cash reward. So that is some of the cases we need your help with this weekend. To see the rest of them, tune in to Washington's Most Wanted tonight at 11 o'clock on Q13 Fox. Tomorrow night, it airs at 9:30 on Joe TV and 10:30 again on Q13. It also airs at 10:30 p.m. Saturday nights on Fox stations in Spokane, Yakima, and the Tri-Cities. This is a statewide effort to make sure these criminals have nowhere left to hide.